Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I have for you a really cute little mini album that is very masculine. I used metal gears and treatments here on the front to keep it for the guys, and I created it using Country Craft Creations exclusive paper collection, the 12x12 Retro Men. So stay tuned for a closer look at this album. Let's take a closer look at this Retro Men mini album. It measures 4.5 wide by 6.5 tall with only a 1/2 inch spine here. So here on the outside, I have kept it really simple for men. I used some different items in my stash, some metal things that I glued on, some gears that I made an arrangement here. I love this image with the car and the belt and the gentleman here. I used the back of some decorative metal corners so I could get this look, and some black rhinestones. This has a magnetic closure, so I made it to go in with the belt. Here on the spine we have an eyelet in silver. The back, I continued the belt. Here I have a clip with a green button string twine, jute twine, that you can order from Country Craft Creations. And then this has a magnetic closure that opens up like that, and then our album opens like this. So you actually could call it a folio. I call it a mini album. So here on the left side we have a pocket on this page, and I do have a tutorial following this showcase walkthrough so that you can make one on your own, and you can make it out of any papers that you choose. But again, check out, if you're wanting a masculine project, check out Country Craft Creations Retro Men, and I did use the 12x12 size. So in my little pocket here, and these are all flat pockets because you have to keep this little album pretty flat, I have a photo mat cut apart at your service, a little booklet, the gentleman shaving here. It opens up, you see the old cars on the inside, a place for a photo on the back. Tuck that in, and then one of the cut aparts from the collection. So this page flips back. We have another pocket here. I added a little gear and some flat back pearls that I made with some glossy accent or the Nouveau gloss, and punched out paper corners, or punched out cardstock out of a hole punch. Couldn't think what to call it. This one has a photo mat cut apart, 2 cardstock photo mats, and that just tucks inside there. Opens up again. We have a tuck spot with the reclining chair with the ottoman and the TV, the vintage 50s TV. I've tucked a photo mat in there. And then this has a fixed photo mat, but you can insert your photo behind the tuck spot, and it's all in a day's work here. On the center here we have a photo mat just added on, double layered, so that closes up. And then this side we have a pocket, and again I added some gears, and I fussy cut out some of the flowers from another cut apart to complement this. We have Wilbur the Beagle pup here in this embellishment cut apart, and then I made a little journaling tuck spot, or for a small photo. So this page is clip closed here at the top, and then it flips to the left, and so we have a belly band here, and I haven't inserted anything. I've left it so that you can insert loose photos or notes or whatever you want here under this. Let me grab one of these to show you that you can slip something all the way under there, see, like that. And then this side has a flip up made with the cut aparts. And I have a gear on there, and that just flips up. Got this paper here that I really like. I used some of the pattern paper to make the hinge for this flap, and then I added a small photo mat here. And then this opens to the right. So we have this image here. You could put a photo here on this, use it as a mat. Again, we have a pocket here with some more gears. These are very flat. You have to have really flat gears or washers for this project. I call this gears, but this is really washers here on this side. And then, of course, I put Man's Best Friend and tuck that into the pocket. And that's my little mini album using Retro Men by Country Craft Creations. So let's get started with our tutorial. Let me flip this one back up. I have to keep it all together in case I forget. And there we are. Let's get that a little bit further. There we go. And then that closes up. And so we're ready to get started. For the Retro Men mini album, I have pre-cut my cardstock. We're going to make this completely out of cardstock and out of the 12 by 12 paper. So you need at least 4 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm using the gray Artisan, so I used 3 sheets of the gray and 1 sheet of the craft. So you can use whatever mix of cardstock you want, but you do want at least 1 sheet contrasting that goes well with whatever paper collection you're using. Of course, I'm using Retro Men by Country Craft Creations, which is an exclusive paper collection that you can only order for Country Craft Creations. This is a wonderful paper collection with lots of vintage images for men and the bright, vibrant colors. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you haven't checked it out, you might want to do that. Their online store at countrycraftcreations.com. So I'm going to get my scoreboard because I'm going to give you the measurements and the scoring instructions before we assemble this little album. From your gray cardstock, we're going to cut for our cover. We're going to cut 4 pieces of cardstock that it measures 4.5 by 6.5. Now you do not fold any score lines, but I did place mine in at the 6.5 at the top and did a light score line at the 1/4 inch mark. This is just for a placement guide on these covers. So I did that on all 4 of these on the 6.5 inch side, lightly score at a 1/4 inch, just for placement guides. We're not going to fold and burnish these lines. So very carefully, just get a nice little mark. I just find it easier than trying to use a ruler and a pencil. So just go ahead and do that. And it's going to have things on it that will cover this up, so it's not a problem. So that is the cover, 4 pieces. 4.5 by 6.5, score lightly on the 6.5 inch side at the top at your 1/4 inch mark. So set that aside. Our next piece is our hinge or spine piece. The hinge and spine are together. We cut this. We just need one that is 6 by 8.5. Put your 8.5 at the top, and you're going to score at the 4 inch. And at 4.5, go ahead and fold and burnish those. We are creating a 1/2 inch spine for this little album. This is a project I designed for Graphic 45 as a brand ambassador using one of their paper collections. But for this one, and I didn't do a video, I just did a photo type tutorial. So I'm redoing this one, but changed the size just a little bit. So it's a fun method of making a quick little gift album if you need something like that. Now for your pages, you're going to cut 2 pieces, and this you get out of 1 sheet of cardstock. These are 6 inches by 12. And you're going to score the 12 inch side at the top. I want you to score at 4 and at 8 on both pieces. So we need to go ahead and score at 4 and at 8. Then you fold and burnish along the lines. And it doesn't matter right now which direction. You just want to kind of get it folded up. These are pages. You'll see how you want them to fold when we put them into the the book. So we have those, we've set those aside, those are our pages. Then we're going to cut out a contrasting cardstock, and I used the Craft. I cut 2 that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. No scoring. These are for decorative contrast or adding the thickness. And for our closure piece, we cut 1 out of the gray that is 3 3/4 by 1 3/4, and we don't score that. And then we have 2 that are out of the Craft that are 3 1/2 by 1 1/2, and no scoring on that. So now we're ready to start assembly. So let's put up our scoreboard. So go ahead and take your 4 cardstock pieces, and what we're going to do is make this extra thick. We're not using chipboard or heavy or lightweight chipboard. We're just using cardstock to construct our album. So take 2 sheets, and I'm going to use glue. You can use score tape if you want to, and put glue on one side. And sandwich another piece to this. So you're making 2 covers out of the 4. So just kind of stack them up, make sure they're lined up good, and burnish those together. And I kind of like to burnish them on both sides, make sure the glue is all smooth. And of course, go ahead and do that on these remaining 2 pieces. So put your glue or adhesive down. And then we're going to sandwich these together. Just make sure they're squared up on the ends. Okay, and then burnish. So there's your cover pieces. Okay, so let's take our hinge, and we're going to put our pages in. So there's 2 of these that you have scored the 12-inch wide by 6 inches tall, and we scored them so that they're 4 and 8, and they're going to fold up like this, and they're going to create the pages in our book. So there's multiple ways you can do this any way. If you want it to be a fold out like this, you can even make it have a pocket on the side. I'm going to have a closure on mine. You could glue the center down and make the pages flip up and out, or you can glue just one side down and make the pages fold in like that. So I'm thinking on the original one I did, they were both folded out like this. I'm thinking I might like to have one here this way, and then the other fold out. So I'm going to do that. So I've taken this 1-page set. I'm going to go ahead and fold this so the one that the writing is here. I'm going to put my glue on the center one on the back. And then I'm going to line it up. I'm going to make sure it does not go over the fold line. I'm using glue because it gives me a little time to line everything up. I like to stand it up, look at it from the sides, looking at it from over here to make sure everything is lined up. Turn this off a little bit. Okay. And then we burnish that. So open it up, and I'm going to burnish it right here. So this is our page like this. And then the other one I'm going to attach and just decide how I want it to go. fold it in like this. Okay, so I'm folding it in. So I have fold in, fold in. So looking at that, you have it like this. The one here, you fold your left one in, and then the left one again, flip it over and put your glue on the back side. There's really no right or wrong way. You could do it either way, just however you want it to fold in and out. Okay, so put your glue on that. And so this glues down onto this piece here. And again, if you need to use your scoreboard to help you line up, that's perfectly fine. Sometimes it does help to have it to kind of lay in there. And then you burnish this in here. So as you can see, it's making it a little thicker. And when we fold this up, it should have the 1/2 inch spine right here on the outside. And then there's our pages opening like this on this one. And you can do the other side the same way, or opening like this on the right one. So that is our pages and our spine. So we have attached the hinge of this to these, and now we're ready for our covers. So this is where that little placement mark comes into play. So we're going to get ready to put the covers onto the page of the book. I have taken a pin. This is my pages. Here's my 1/2 inch spine to the left. This is the one that folds out all the way left that way, and this is the one that folds up like this. So I have marked front and back to keep myself from getting confused while I'm doing the gluing. Now we're going to take one, it doesn't matter which one of the double thickness covers. You've got your 1/4 inch placement guide down here that you scored. You're going to take your cover. Now, before I put the glue, I'm going to show you. This is the back, the spine edge. So I need to make sure that that 1/2 inch is flush on the right of this cover, and the bottom edge is right along that score line that I put a placement guide, so that once it glues down, have a 1/4 inch at the top, 1/4 inch at the bottom, and about a 1/2 inch on the side. So here on the front, I'm going to put my glue. I'm going to glue it completely down. Make sure the 1/2 inch hinge is flush with the cut edge of the cover, and the bottom is straight right along that 1/4 inch. Now I've got to slide this over because, and that's why I like to use glue. It gives me a little time to move. If you're using score tape, you cannot slide it. So I'm going to look at it here, make sure it's a 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch up here. If there's any excess glue on the edges, I clean that off. I'm going to open this up so I can get into here and burnish this. Turn it over. So that is my front side. It's not wrote on it front anymore. I can go ahead and do that if I wanted to. This side now is the back, and you're going to take your other double piece and we're going to flip it. So now the 1/2 inch is on the left, and we want to make sure we're lining it up here on the side. And this gets a little more tricky because you can't see because you got that lip sticking out. So I'm going to place my ruler right up against that bottom edge, that line, so that I can see it. Just square that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the glue where it says back. And if it's not perfectly lined up, I mean, it's off just a little bit, it's okay. You want it to be straight, at least the best that you can. But when I say off a little bit, lined up, that's okay. So we're going to make sure that it's the 1/2 inch section here is flush to the left cut edge of the cover, but the edge of the pages, not the cover, but the edge of the pages here underneath, right along my ruler on the 1/4 inch mark. So got that, whoops, lined up there. I'll open it up and look at it. It looks pretty good. Maybe a little off up here at the top. Oops. See, now I pushed too much. So I'm going to realign. It's okay. I'm all right. I have to put a little more glue on it. I will. So this second one is a little trickier. I'll even admit that myself. And let's line it up here. And down here. I'm going to hold it so I can look at it. Okay, that's much better. I'm going to open this up so I can burnish. Burnish, burnish, burnish. And on the outside. And that is the assembled album. It's a different little album. You can make it in different sizes, this method. So next we're going to open it up so that the covers are on the outside. So that means they're bigger than what you see on the inside. We'll take our contrasting craft cardstock, these 2 pieces. You cut these out at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and they're going to center as a mat right here on our front cover. And then after we do that, we're going to work on our closure piece because we need to put our magnet underneath before we add our pattern paper. So you see I'm centering it here on the bottom, the sides, the top, and the 2 sides, and I'm going to go ahead and burnish that on. That's just to give it a double layer. If you don't want to do that, it's perfectly fine not to. So I'm going to put one on the back as well. Now I have cut my pattern papers out. I will give you the measurements. It is in a cutting list that I will type up a Google Doc of, and then I'll have the link in the description of this tutorial video. You might have to click on show more to see it. Usually I put it at the very top so that you can just click on the link, go to the PDF file, and print that up so that you can follow along with the tutorial. So there's the outer like that, and adding that extra mat makes the covers really pretty thick. Okay, we can go ahead and put the back one on because we're not going to be putting the closure on that. I mean, it'll glue on it, but it's not required to hide a magnet. So for the cover, I cut these 2 pieces of the Retro Min paper, and I cut 2 that are 4 wide by 6 tall. I'm using a bigger margin on this one so that I can see my contrasting. So we're going to ink this. I'm going to grab my Distress ink in the pumice stone gray. I'm just going to quickly use my ink pad to just run it across the edges of the cut paper. Go ahead and do this one at the same time since I have it laying here. But we're not gluing this one down yet. We're going to do our closure piece first. But on the back side, and this way we'll know it's the back because it doesn't have the image, we're going to go ahead and glue. We'll use this plaid side, and we're going to go ahead and add glue to our back side of this printed paper. I'm going to open this up so it's laying flat. So it's the one on the left when the cover's open like that. And I'm going to just center this. Okay. We open it up. And so the back is done as far as patterning. And we're going to set the cover pattern aside. And let's grab our pieces for our closure piece. Now I did cut one out of gray. I've already given you these, but I'll repeat them for you. Cardstock, cut one that's 3 3/4 wide by 1 3/4 tall, and 2 of the contrasting cardstocks that are 3 1/2 by 1 1/2, and they're going to sandwich like that. The magnet's going to be going in there as well. And then we have 2 of the patterned papers. So one goes on the outside. I'm going to use the belt piece. We have 2 pattern papers that are cut to 3 3/4 wide by 1 1/4 tall. So I'm going to ink those. Just along the edge, not the cardstock. I'm just inking the patterned paper. So go ahead and do that real quick. This is a fun, quick little project. Unless you do a lot of decorating, you could probably whip this one out in an afternoon or in an evening. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sandwich these two contrasting cardstocks to the gray one. Put glue on this because I don't want a lot of thickness between my magnets. I want to make sure that they stick on good. So center this so you have a margin of the gray showing. Flip it over and do this as well. Back side. Oops. Wipe that glue off. Okay. So we have those lined up. I'm going to burnish. So we have those. Now it is a double thickness. So we're going to have to make it kind of curve with our book. And I'm just kind of stretching it out a little bit, just in a slight curve for right now. Now the magnet is going to go on the front here and on the back side of this. So I'm going to need, I can go ahead and cover this front piece here with the buckle paper. And because I wanted it to show the buckle, there's not as much as of the craft actually showing, just a tiny bit. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on. With this still left the back side with no pattern paper, we're going to figure out where we want to put our magnet. Now I'm placing this one on here just so that I can get a good look at where it's going to lay. Now if I want to match this up like that, I'm going to put the magnet about right in this area, right there. So I'm just going to attach my magnet there. I'm going to scoot it over though a little bit, about 3/4 of an inch. That's the general area, I think. Right about there. And so I placed this one on there, so I have the two magnets together. And I know it's a little weird with it being at top, but that's just going to help keep it closed, and it's also going to be decorative. So pull the backing off. And then I'm going to line this up about center and open that up. Now then, we can go ahead and put our paper down on the front. Okay, and line it up. About equal amounts of the craft showing. Make sure I open this up so that I can burnish all my edges and then burnish where that magnet is to make sure that right there on that edge you don't want a gap in there. And you're going to burnish around there. Okay. Now then, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put the paper on this side. I did ink these. So I'm going to cover up the magnet. Right here. Okay. Burnish that to make sure those edges are down. So this is going to be a really fun masculine type album. So we close our album up. And like I said, I have been kind of bending this. This is really thick with the artisan cardstock and the Retro Min paper. You shouldn't have to worry about it cracking, but it does have a little where you can see the bend. The texture there. And I do take my ink and maybe just ink it a little bit. It just makes it look worn. It's not actually cracked. You can just see a line, and that's okay. This is going to attach here. Okay, and then this is going to come around to the back, and we're going to attach it wherever it attaches there. So I want glue with that above the bend, all on this, good amount of glue. And I'm going to let it bend over. It's going to have a gap in there. And kind of line it up straight using the plaid for my guide. And I'm going to hold that so that it stays attached. Now you may have to scoot it over a little bit because you want the magnet to attach down. Okay, so I just slid it just a tiny bit to make sure that magnet grabs. And then you hold the back and let that dry. Pull this up a little more. Okay. So it does have that curve kind of in it, kind of the shape. You can square it off if you want to, but I want it to be like that. And I'll make sure I have plenty of room for it to catch in the front. Okay. So I just moved it a tiny bit, didn't even show the glue. And then, like I said, here on the bend side, if it's bending or if you're seeing lines in your paper, I just ink those and give it that worn look. Okay, so that's the little album with the closure attached to pages. You're also going to cut, and I haven't done it yet, two that are 3/8 inch wide by about 5 7/8 tall for your little spine on the outside and the inside. So I'm going to get that cut so that I can glue that on. I'll cut a couple of pieces from the plaid, the same that I used on the front and back cover. So I'm going to just glue this real quick on the spine. Here. Center it there in between the top and the bottom. Now your spine is a little shorter than your covers, and that's okay. So it's like that. Let's see, I need to scoot it over just a little bit. Make sure it's not going over your fold of your cover. Get it nice and straight. There we go. So that's burnished there. Then we open it up. And then here on the inside, we have a little strip we add in between the pages to finish those off. I'm going to use the plaid in there too. And then off camera, I'm going to go ahead and ink all my pattern paper. Okay, so we'll do that off camera. And then I'll be back and we'll start gluing things inside the book. It'll be chin visible for the paper. So I have cut mine out and I've gone through and used some temporary repositionable adhesive to attach each one to where I think I want them to go. And I'm going to go ahead off camera. I'm going to ink them all and glue them down to where I want them in the book. So let me show you real quick. You can cut yours, use whichever you want. So when you open the book, I'm going to use the plaid here, the blue, and then this folds out. I have the car and the green here that goes with this image here. And whoops, doesn't always stick. That's why it's temporary, right? So then I have the car here on the inside, and also this plaid here. So that's this one, and then here this one opens up this with the couple here from the 40s, the war image, World War II image. That's what it reminds me of. Then we have the 50s TV here with the matching, and then this folds out this way, and we have this plaid, and then the gentleman in their finery. So that is the pattern papers I chose. Of course, you can do whatever you want. I inked the pattern papers for my pages and then glued them all down. So I have those all ready. And now I'm going to go ahead. This one, for some reason, I cut it a little bit big, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to work with that. I'm going to, I cut out some different cut aparts, scraps of paper. Yours will be different depending on what you want to use and the size of scraps you have to decorate, to start decorating my pages. So for the first one here on this, I'm going to make a little, see this one, this one goes in here or the other side. I'm going to make a pocket. And I've cut these, fussy cut out some of the elements. So for this pocket, I'm just removing my temporary adhesive. I'm just going to put it down, up a little ways, and I'm just going to put glue on the two short ends, just a line of glue, making some flat pockets because this album's not very thick, so you don't want a lot of thick things in here along the bottom. And I'm going to just place it down here. Now, if you had wanted to thumb notch it, you could have done that. Oops, I meant to put that up a little higher. I wanted it up here. There we go. Along that glue line, plaid line. And so I've got it attached on each short end and across the bottom. And then I'm just going to attach this cut apart that says road trip with the old car and the gas pump and the kids. So I'm going to put glue on this. This just lays down right on top. So you have the cut aparts instead of stickers with this paper collection. And you can use your brother's scan and cut or some cutting machine that will scan and cut them out for you, or do like I did. I just fussy cut mine out. So I've got that one there. This is a cut apart at your service. So I cut this one out, and I'm just going to tuck it in to the pocket right here. And then I have a 3x4 piece of cardstock scrap, and I'm going to deco punch it or give it some kind of different color. Let's do a stub punch. If you have the crocodiles that do a stub punch, so this just kind of makes it rounded, indented, like a stub, like a ticket stub. And so that's going to go back in here. That's just for a photo. I'm going to leave it plain.
So you see I have all my elements that I decided on laid out and that I cut, and I cut my cardstock for photo mats from some of my scraps, so yours will be different than mine. Right here I am just showing you that I matted one of the cutouts and I'm just using it as a tag here in this pocket. So I'm going to speed up the video now and go ahead and add in flat pockets, some maybe belly bands, just different elements that I have found out of the paper scraps that I have left. And like, again, the flat pockets like this one I'm showing you right now, you glue on each end, and across the bottom, belly bands just glue on each end. And I'm using a lot of the patterned paper to create these. And I will stop the video later to show you how to make a hinge for a flap on a cut apart. So go ahead and watch as I add in different elements to my album.
call these guys the Dapper Dans. I love their shoes. I love the Barbershop. It's a little wide. I trimmed it down as much as I could, and I'm going to make this into a flip up because I love this pattern on the back. And to do that, you need a hinge. So I went to my scraps. This is about an inch wide. I wanted the plaid on both sides, so that worked great. I'm going to ink this. Forgot to ink that guy, but that's okay. This is a hinge that will show. So you want to make it out of pattern paper usually, as it will just look better in your album. It'll match the rest of your album. Okay, so we're going to take this. I want that one near there. Okay, I think I messed up. This is going to go here. Don't know what I'm thinking. Okay, get ourselves all confused. It really doesn't matter. You can put them anywhere you want in whatever patterns, but I did plan for this to match, and this is a scrap of paper that's probably about 2 inches. Flat pocket, glue along the bottom, down the 2 sides. I noticed this when I saw my cut apart card. Okay, so this goes here. It fits just right in here, so I cut it to fit. I'm going to put it down at the bottom. I'm burnishing the bottoms and the ends. This is the card that's going to go in. So that's the Wilbur Beagle Pup. Man's Best Friend's going to go there. And then I cut out of the smaller, out of cut apart one that I had cut out the corsage here. I wanted to use this part here, so I'm just cut this out. Now, of course, that's pretty too. I do like that. I think I'm going to use that because it goes with that one. Right? Either side, then I like that too. So, have to decide. I'm going to go with the lighter color. And this is just like a nameplate type thing. I cut out a rectangle and then I use the stub on all 4 corners. So you could write something here if you wanted to. I may put some flatbacks or something there, or some paper faux flatbacks to keep them flat. So that's that one. And then this back side is going to be this one. So you take your cut apart they're going to use. So when you flip it over, this is how it's going to look. You flip it over. This on the right side on the back, you attach your 1/2 of your hinge. Just using some glue. Put the fold of your hinge on the cut edge of your cut apart on the right side and line it up top and bottom. If you have to trim a little bit from the top and the bottom, that's fine. So just burnish that on. Now we have a hinge piece here. And see how it's just a little bit long there at the top. I'm just take my scissors and right along the edge, just clip that off. And then it's going to go here to the right. So we put glue on the other side of the hinge. And we're going to put it right here. Straight, I'm lining it up with the other side. So it does come off with the pattern just a little bit on the edge here. So that's fine. And we burnish that in here. So see, it's finished in here. And we've got this image and this. And then I have a little photo mat that I cut out. You don't have to put anything there if you don't want to. This is out of scraps. Now it's time to decorate a little bit. So I've already patterned, of course, all the inside and add my pockets and my different mats. There may be a few more I want to add in and my different flips and flaps. So we've already done all that. So we're just going to do a little bit of decorating. I'm going to go, I love to do the cover first. I don't know why, I just like doing it. My threads are sticking to my magnet. So here's the front. And you could just leave it this way if you want it really simple. I wanted some metal corners added to mine. And I went through my stash. This is all stuff from my stash. Just go foraging, rummaging, whatever you want to call it. But these are very feminine. Even though they're very plain, they do have etched in flowers. So I don't want that side. I want this side, but there was a glue dot on it, so it left a mark. But that's okay, because I'm going to put black flat back on there. So I used art glitter glue to add all my metal things. I've got lots of stuff here. I've got like this little pull. It's just for looks. It's not going to be anything, some gears and stuff that I might want to use on the cover. some, what are those? I don't know what those are called. Something from my husband's stash, I'm sure. Has some little brads in the silver and the darker color that I might want to use. So this is just all stuff that I'm going to use. I'm not going to be doing this in detail. I'm going to probably speed up the camera. I may skip through some parts of it. I'm just going to show you real quick what I'm doing with this one corner. So I'm putting the glue on the corner on the back. This will hold it. Art glitter glue will hold it, so don't panic. And I'm just going to put it here on the corner of the cover. I'm going to let it, I may go ahead and put it more up towards the second layer of the cardstock, because there's a little drop off right there. So I'm just going to do that. And then where that glue dot was, I'm going to put a dot of glue. And then I'm just going to, now these are more rhinestone looking ones. I'll use those. I have enough of those. And I'm just going to, so you'll put, I'm going to put a metal corner on each of the 4 corners of the cover. Okay. Whoops. And of course it wants to move around. When you're on camera, of course it does. So now I've got to clean that off, because I should have tried this out first. Okay. So I've got a little bit of glue on it right there. It's my clumsy fingers is what causes the problem. So I have a little glue coming out. I'm just going to kind of wipe that off if I can. So I've used maybe just a little bit too much glue. I'm going to get a dry cloth and wipe that off just a little bit to show you that you can. There. Don't want it too messy there. Okay. There we go. So that is one of the corners. I'm going to do all the rest, and then I'll do some more decorating. I'm going to speed up the camera and do all that. Okay, so I added a couple of extra washers and things, different textures in here. This is glued down, so everything's glued on the front. So that's the front. Then I'm going to flip it over, and here on the back I cut out a piece of the belt. And I wanted to make it look like the belt extending over. So it goes to right there, and then on top of the piece here on the back. So I'm just going to glue that down. I ink the edges. And then I'm ready to just add a little bit into the inside. So I'll make sure this is going this way. Line that all up with that piece. It's already on here. And put it right about there. Okay, so I think that finishes it off on the back really nice. And then I'm going to flip it over. And then, of course, I'm going to start adding some stuff. I'm going to speed up the camera. It's just a matter of adding a few little things like here. These are really nice and flat. And then, of course, I have to let them dry in between. So I don't want to make you have to wait for stuff like that. So I'll just speed everything up so you can kind of see what's going on. I just want to use metal stuff as flat as I can, maybe some flat backs in here on some tags and stuff to just kind of finish it all up here on the inside. See, just like that, just a matter of a little bit of metal right there. So I'm going to do all that on the inside now. finished up on my little Retro Men album, my mini album. I decided I wanted to clip in here on some of my pages. And let me open that up and show you what I did. I did that off camera. I used the jute twine button string. You can order this by the yard at Country Craft Creations. This is a Tim Holtz clip. I tied the string onto it. Then I added a eyelet here on the spine and tied that through there. So that way it's not lost when you unclip it for these pages here on the inside, like that. So that's my little album. Thank you so much for following along in the tutorial. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click on the bell so you'll be notified of my next project. And make sure you check out countrycraftcreations.com online store for this exclusive paper collections and several others. There's going to be a lot coming out real soon. So thanks again. Bye-bye.